This is the Diezel VH Micro. It is a 30-watt solid-state amp. It is based off of the channel 3 of the Diezel VH4, so it is a high-gain circuit. It has a depth and presence control, 3-band EQ, master volume, and a master gain. To call this a lunchbox amp is a bit of an overstatement. I think this is more of a Happy Meal sized amp. For comparison, here is a Boss pedal on top of it. It is a tiny little thing. So once again, this is based off of the channel 3, which is the high gain circuit of the VH4. That being said, here's my clean tone. That joke out of the way, we'll get to some actual tone now. I was running a faux spring reverb, a CE2 chorus, and a digital delay through the effects loop for that a little bit. And I was also running, actually I was not running my parametric EQ in the loop for that, but I will be turning some of those pedals on and off, and I will mention it when I do it. It's also going to be running through an ISP Decimator Pro Rack G. It's not a very noisy amp, but it does have a little bit of hum, which I like just having complete quiet on. The guitar I'm going to be using is a 1985 Gibson XPL Explorer, and it is loaded with Dirty Fingers. Now, I've seen a lot of people who have been reviewing this amp, who were sent this amp, mention that you can gig or at least rehearse with a drummer with this amp. I find that very facetious. This is a tiny, tiny amp. It is 30 watts of solid state with a Class A power amp section. I think that a more realistic scenario would be as if you have a buddy who is a guitar player or a bass player, and you want to go over to their house to jam with at bedroom volumes. This would be perfect for that. Or if you have a drummer who's using an electronic kit, that would be a far more realistic scenario than to say that you could rehearse with a full-size drummer using an acoustic kit who's hitting hard. I just personally don't see that happening. I'd love to try it out myself, but I can't find a drummer around here. So I'm going to be setting all the settings to around 6 or 7 because I feel like that's a good starting point. Makes the amp sound very nice. Except for the master volumes, because I don't want to make my rabbit go deaf. I'm going to now activate my EQ in a loop. This is going to be my equivalent to post-EQing, post-processing, because I'm way too lazy. You're getting all the audio and video from an iPhone on top of another amp. Deal with it. But this is how it sounds now with an EQ in the loop. Now, it does make a huge difference. However, with some very extreme settings, I think you can get pretty close to it with just the amp by itself. So this is with the mid just completely nuked, the deep completely dimed out, and then slight tweaks to the other parts of the EQ section. So I think that sounds very good, especially for an amp with such a small power section. I am going to be turning on my overdrive now, it's because I prefer how that sounds. It's going to be tightening up the tone a little bit. and also bringing in a little more mid-bass, so we'll see how that goes. Now I'm going to be switching my EQ and a loop back on, and then bring the settings back to where they're not so extreme, but in my opinion still sound very good for a bedroom environment. One other thing I'd like to point out is that I'm kind of spoiled with having an EQ in the loop. That's why I like running it so much. But in my opinion, you can very easily get a tone you're very happy with just running it into a little 112 or 212. Like if this is just going to be like your at work rig or just something to noodle around with. Again, I really highly doubt you can run this with a drummer. But for what it is, it's just kind of a fun little practice amp or rehearsal amp with a very light playing drummer, or one again with an electrical kit. I think it's a very great sounding amp, and I think it can do well in certain practical uses. Do I see you ever gigging with this thing? Hell no. Even if this is at a full venue with a good sound guy mic'd up through a good 412, you're going to be battling, to say the least. And at that point, you might as well just ask for a house rental, or if you're friends with someone else in another group, just use that amp. Really quickly here, I'll throw back on my delay and my reverb just so you can see what it sounds like for a lead setting. think just to end the video on, I'm going to do one more kind of tone setting. Just the amp by itself, no overdrive in front again. Again, to give you kind of the taste of what this amp can do on its own.